Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Coffee Chat. I'm here with Carol Tuberville and I'm Sherry Smeraglia. I'm the CEO of Smeraglia Enterprises, Teddy Bear Goldendoodles, Teddy Bear Schnoodles, and Teddy Bear Toodles.
Yep.
And what do you do, Carol?
I do nothing.
Yeah, she
Sit at the
does
desk all day.
No, maybe it is. What do I not do?
Yes. So
What hat are you wearing today?
So today I'm wearing my client interaction hat, but
Okay.
I've also been in the nursery with some babies being born
Ooh,
today.
that's
We've had
news.
6 new babies hit the ground today. So very
Yes,
excited.
it's a birthday. We need to
It
start
is.
ringing the bell. Ring the bell. The
Oh
babies
yes,
are born.
celebrating a birthday.
Yeah.
So a great litter of puppies being born today. Also been down by our chicken flock for a little bit today. So anything that lives and breathes here on the farm, whether it's people, dogs, peacocks, whatever it is, that's what I do.
Animal care. So you're over 4-legged, 2-legged, fowls, cows.
Winged, feathered.
It's a lot going on the farm. It's, this week, so what I worked on yesterday was working on my 3rd book. I
that's
have
so
one
exciting.
about a Goldendoodle. Fletcher, the original, very first teddy bear English Goldendoodle, was bred right here on Smeraglia Farm. And then my 2nd book was about Lola, a very special puppy. She's a schnoodle, because those are our breeds. But once we started raising and breeding the Goldendoodle bred to the schnoodle, which is our exclusive breed, the teddy bear twoodle, I was like, I got to write a book, a story about it. And of course, he's a therapy dog, because that's our heart, therapy and service and companion dogs. So Carol got to read it, and I think it's going to be great, right?
Oh yeah, super exciting. And my favorite thing, like when you were going over it with me and looking at it, was the visual, because we do these visits at schools. It's our heart, like you said, therapy and service dogs, and we every single week visit schools. And one of the things that we do is we do a lot of education also on dog care, dog bite prevention, and to be able to go, and it's going to be such a great book to sit and read to the kids.
That was really what I was thinking. Well, I'm also here with Dana. She's behind the camera, but she's actually bringing me a cup of coffee for my coffee chat with you guys today. And she's going to be checking in and seeing who all's here with us. And you guys, as we're chatting, excuse me, if you have any comments or you want to ask a question about our topic today, feel free to do that. Dana, how's it going?
It's going really good. We've got a lot of fun things we got going on at the
Yeah.
estate this week that I've been planning.
It's a busy week.
It is.
We have my mom's birthday tomorrow.
Yep.
We have our crawfish derby on Saturday. And then baby baptism on Sunday, and then Meredith's birthday next week.
Yes.
And I'm like, woo!
Well, Cody's birthday's the 1st.
So, May Day.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's a May Day, and then he has prom Saturday night. So busy week. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Yappy Hour?
Yappy Hour's coming up Monday.
Yappy
First
Hour's
Monday.
coming up Monday.
First
Yep.
Monday night of the month.
Yeah.
Is that Monday already?
It is.
It goes by fast, doesn't it?
And the first day of that's really good. We're going to have Yappy Hour on Monday, May 1st. All right, all you supporters. Come on, if you're not one, go ahead and subscribe. Go over to Facebook and subscribe and become a supporter, and you can join us for our fun happy hour, Yappy Hour.
Yep.
We had a lot of time. Last week it was a lot of fun. Last month, it was a lot of fun. We laughed and laughed so much.
Lot.
We need to laugh like that. Okay, so Carol, you get on the phone on Tuesdays, and everybody, I just want to say cheers to Carol and the phone calls that she takes, because it allows us who are out in the field and working with the dogs and marketing and doing all the things that we're doing to continue being before the camera while she's back in the office on the phone, just with a day worth of scheduled. How many appointments did you have today?
So they do calls, they do 45-minute blocks, but it's typically about 30-minute calls, and then I have 15 minutes that I can kind of take notes, summarize, follow up, other stuff from there. So I think I had 9 calls today.
Wow, that girl can talk.
I can. Hey, no doubt I can talk. So, but the calls were all really good today.
Okay.
Got to touch base with some clients on just some puppies. Got to touch base about just some training stuff to kind of help with that.
So you're all over the place with
All
clients.
over the place. And so we actually talked about some virtual training that might be helpful, because they got their puppies home, didn't do prep school, having just some normal puppy stuff going on, just needs a little help. So referred them over to prep school to kind of maybe connect with one of our trainers. And then I also talked a little bit about something that probably needs to be a future topic. Spent a little time talking with a client who had gotten a dog in the past, really had a lot of issues, not from us. They got another dog from a different breeder, and really had a lot of genetic health issues. They really had to go through a lot with this dog, and now are looking for a new puppy, but really want to talk through the genetic health testing, what we're doing, why we do it. If a dog has something on the genetic test, why is it still in the program? And just a lot of things like that.
That's really kind of where we're headed today. That conversation's leading into this. Well, before we jump into that, Dana, who do we have here? Let's say hello.
We've got Trisha, who's one of our supporters, and says hi there.
Hey, Trisha.
Linda Vath, one of our supporters. She says, hi, Sherry, Carol, and Dana. Looking very pretty today. Yay, happy hour.
Thank you.
Lila Thomas is with us. Kristen Lockwood, another one of our supporters, says hello.
Yay.
Eileen is with us. Let's see, and Susan, and I think Christina. So welcome, guys.
Okay, welcome everybody. And we've got Will, behind the camera, running all the stuff. So he's back there. I don't know if he'll need to jump in, but if y'all have a question for him, I mean, hey, you never know, right?
I am here.
He is here. Will is here.
Yes.
Okay, so Carol, we're talking about a topic that can be somewhat confusing to people.
It can be. And so...
Tell them what it is. Let's just go ahead and put it out there, guys.
So our topic today is congenital versus inherited. And please understand, they're not the same thing.
Congenital versus inherited what?
Anything. A condition, what's going on with the dog, a disease, in a structure, congenital versus inherited. And so where a lot of the confusion comes from is the word congenital sounds like genetic.
Kind of does, yeah.
It does. And so because of that, a lot of times there's the immediate jump that just because something is congenital, that it must also be genetic or inherited. And it's not. Something can be congenital but not inherited. Something can be inherited but not congenital.
Can we get a definition? I don't know if you actually have one written out, but congenital means, of course I understand what it means, but I might have somebody out there listening and they don't understand that.
Just present at birth.
It was just there. You were born with it.
Correct.
But it doesn't mean that you inherited it from your parents. And that's the difference.
It is. And just because you inherit something from your parents doesn't mean that it's present at birth either.
True.
So things can be both, things can be neither, things can be one or the other.
That's right.
So what's cool is when Embark was here, one of the things, because this does come up, this is a topic that comes up. I know you guys in a lot of the message boards between some of the different platforms on social media, this conversation comes up quite a lot. It was really cool because we know that we went ahead and asked this of the veterinary geneticist, the absolute expert in this field. We asked this question for them to break it down and explain it for you guys so that you could hear straight from the absolute best of the best. What does this mean? Yes,
when we started collaborating with Embark, we, had a conversation and we really wanted to talk about this and we recorded it. So guys, it's about 4 minutes, but I'm going to go on and kind of jump over into this interview. I want you guys to listen to it and then we're going to come back and then what we're going to do is discuss it.
And while y'all are watching it, feel free to post questions in the comments because that can be part of our discussion. As they're saying things and we're saying things as part of this Q&A, absolutely put it in there so we can discuss.
Yeah, Dana's watching, so put the questions in. When we come back, we're going to talk to you more about that. Enjoy.
Something that we hear a lot is everything is genetic, when in fact, not everything is inherited. Dogs can just get sick. There are things that they are born with that is congenital, but because of that word congenital, it sounds genetic. So the immediate assumption is made that it's inherited. So can you speak a little bit to the differences between congenital and inherited?
Absolutely. So a congenital condition is one that is present and evident at birth.
So an example of a congenital condition would be a cleft palate. So usually breeders are typically looking for those, usually really immediately obvious when you go to look at that puppy's mouth, definitely present from birth. And contrast that with a genetic condition that can occur when a dog inherits a genetic variant from its parents that increases its risk of developing a particular condition. So many genetic disorders are present at birth, but many more are not. So not all genetic conditions are congenital. And a good example of that is actually a condition called degenerative myelopathy. This is the dog version of Lou Gehrig's disease. Certainly has a genetic basis, but those symptoms are not going to manifest until that dog is usually between about 8 and 14 years of age. And then on the flip side of that, congenital conditions are not necessarily genetic. So to use that cleft palate example again, most clefts are inherited or genetic, but if a dog is exposed to really high levels of vitamin A during her pregnancy, this can also lead to cleft palates in the puppies. So hypervitaminosis A leading to cleft palates is a pretty good example of a congenital condition that is not genetic. Does that all make sense?
It does, but can we determine through our swab and our test if that one was congenital or not? I mean, if hereditary, I mean, can we find that out if maybe this cleft palate actually came from overexposure of vitamin A? I mean, will that show up?
You might be able to find out if it was genetic. We do test for one cleft palate type variant, but we don't test for all of the various genetic causes for cleft palates, simply because we don't know what the genetic basis is in all cases. So potentially our test will screen for genetic conditions, but certainly not congenital conditions that are not genetic.
Okay, that's interesting. I love that. And we just got to really educate ourselves and understand how to communicate that to our clients. Carol, I mean, when you're talking to our clients, I mean, do you feel like that's the big one? I mean, everything is every problem in their dog down to having worms is a product of poor breeding,
yes,
or something.
So we're going to get questions on every single thing, and every single thing is going to come back to the breeding of the dog. And so the way I tend to address it is we do all the screenings for genetics. We track the puppies, we track the parents, we look at the percentages of, okay, so to use the cleft palate example, we have a puppy with a cleft palate, but it's the mom's 4th litter and we've never seen a cleft palate before. Odds are that's not inherited. That's going to be something that happened, because for a healthy baby, puppy, whatever baby to be born, millions of things have to go right. It only takes one thing to go wrong for it to not be that picture perfect example. And with a cleft palate, that's something that just sometimes can happen. With an umbilical hernia, that's something that can just sometimes happen. And it's okay, and we're still here, but it doesn't mean that it was inherited, and those parents should not be bred.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can do absolutely everything perfectly right to the letter, and this is still going to be biology. So you can't predict absolutely everything that is going to go wrong.
Well, that was quite interesting, wasn't it? I'd love to know what thoughts you have and what questions that you might have, because that's a lot of information, but it was a good interview.
It is. It was great information. It's always great to also hear from the expert on what's going on. And I think it was really great too, the way that, we were able to discuss it in a way that really kind of breaks it down some too. So
I love that. Okay. So we were talking about so many of our clients, or just people that have questions, or maybe have gotten a puppy and their puppy has an issue. Give me an example of a situation of somebody that had an issue, they were concerned about their puppy, and then they saw us breed that mother or father again, and it really was their hot button, it was their trigger, because they didn't understand this and they thought we were being irresponsible breeders.
Correct, and that's kind of the thing. So one of the reasons why we do work closely with the experts in the field is so that we can make good and informed decisions.
Right.
We do our due diligence. And the thing is just because a puppy is born with something doesn't mean it's inherited. I know one of the things that we talk about, and you hear said over and over,
Right.
I think it was even said in the interview here, is it takes millions of things to go right for a perfect little puppy to be born. It only takes one thing to go wrong. And that could be the farmer sprayed the field. It could
Yeah.
be the mom got a little stressed when
Or
she
got
was
a
outside
virus
playing.
when she was pregnant,
Yeah.
or got overheated.
Yeah, it could be any of a number of things that go on. It could be she was playing too hard. And it only takes a little subtle thing for something to just not go quite right with that
So while the
pregnancy.
baby is in gestation and they're there for like 63 days, during that period of time, you know, the baby is maturing and cells are dividing and the baby is growing, the puppy is growing. Your baby and your puppies, they're all the same. And as this is happening, like Carol's saying, something could just be off. Something could go wrong, which could develop maybe a heart problem or something wrong. Mainly heart defects are big, common ones.
It is. The other one are like cleft palates or
Yep.
something that breeders see across all breeds. And we know that there is a certain day, I think it's 21 to 24 days gestation, that if you're exposed to just the right, or I guess just the wrong thing,
yeah.
then the cleft doesn't close like it's supposed to, and you end up with that open cleft.
But that is not a hereditary genetic issue with either one of the parents. It is just something that went wrong while the puppy was developing.
Well, we
embryo.
have a staff member who adopted a puppy who was born with a leg that was very, very deformed. And what happened is at birth, we were able to see that one of the other puppies' umbilical cord or their placenta was wrapped around the leg, and the way that the leg was positioned in utero, it wasn't allowed to develop properly. So shortly after
Right.
birth, the dog had have its leg amputated. Well, it didn't inherit a leg defect from its
No.
parents. That was something that happened while it was
Right.
in utero. So it is a congenital defect, but not a genetic or inherited defect.
And we do a lot of testing on our parent dogs. All of our parent dogs have been tested, so we actually know what genetic weaknesses they have, what their genetics look like, so that because it takes a lot of information to make the right decision about who we're going to breed to.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just, this has to carry on both sides. Both parents have to be a carrier. So if this one parent, if you guys look at the DNA test or something and you would say, oh my gosh, my dog's a carrier of this, that doesn't matter as long as we don't breed one carrier to a carrier.
Correct. And that actually was a conversation I had today. Jared was actually, I was talking with him about it
Yeah.
on our adoption team.
Okay.
And so the way that we work on the breeding program is we look at our program goals, which is service, therapy, dog temperament, great companions. We have a certain Smeraglia type. We have a wait list of things that people are waiting for. So when a
Right.
girl comes in heat, we look for a boyfriend that's going to meet the needs of the program. Then we look at all of those health screenings to eliminate dogs that may potentially produce an issue. And so if the mom, say, is a carrier of progressive retinal atrophy, PRA or PRCD, if she's a carrier, we're gonna make sure that she's not breeding to a boy who's also a carrier. We would breed her to a clear.
Right.
And that would then, we don't have any issues with the puppies. Now, if we happen to look for her perfect boyfriend for what we're going and he's also a carrier, we would eliminate him.
We
That
wouldn't
wouldn't even
breed
be a breeding that we would do. And interesting thing about those particular conditions is those are both genetic but not congenital because they're not present at birth.
Right.
Those are things that are going to develop later on
Over
in
time.
life.
And
over
those
time.
are things we care about too. We're not just about breeding these puppies and then they're healthy right now, but we know, if we would know that they are carrying something that's going to show up later, and that's going to be a real problem for you in the future and your dog. We don't want to do that either. We care about that.
Well, and that's also a big part of like my phone calls on Tuesday is we also rely on you guys to report things. And so there are certain things that are testable. There are other things that aren't
Right.
testable yet.
That's right.
And we still use that knowledge. And so let's say there's certain things that you can't test for yet, but we get a client that calls in with a report. We're going to talk to our vets. We're going to talk to our experts about, do you think this particular thing is inherited or do you think
That's right.
this is congenital? And then we're going to watch, and we're going to make great and informed decisions based off of even what you guys report beyond the testing.
That's right. Hey, Dana, any comments over there? Any questions?
No, and I'm watching.
Okay,
Nobody's
guys,
said
this is a
anything
deep
yet.
topic.
They're taking it
Obviously.
all in.
Y'all are soaking it all in. But I mean, that makes sense. And a lot of times when you're out there and you're in your groups or different things, I want to make these coffee chats in such a way that they're really focused on a topic so that we can answer the questions and educate the public. My heart, more than anything, is to help people understand why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't understand, like, well, why would you breed her again? I mean, I had this dog and she produced this thing, this situation, and now you're breeding that again? Well, you should eliminate her. Well, it's not really. We work so hard at getting the right dogs in our program and testing them and making sure that they're qualified to be in the breeding program. So we're not going to eliminate a dog out of the program that had a congenital defect born on a puppy.
Correct.
Because that had nothing to do
Or-
with her, or, you know, as far as her genetics.
Or sometimes we'll also get that same type of conversation on something that's neither congenital or inherited. It does happen that sometimes dogs just get sick.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the breeding or how they were born. Unfortunately, it does just happen. And we hate it. We pray over every one of our puppies.
We do.
But it does occasionally happen. And we hear that too. It's, hey, my dog had this illness that came up. And why did you breed the mom? Well, because the illness had nothing to do with the mother. It had nothing to do with being born with.
You
It had
gotta
nothing to do with
always
anything.
bring it back to the human perspective.
Yes.
You know, in your life and having your families and your people. You know, our family members have developed diseases or things like that it wasn't passed down through the families. You know, I was reading a little bit about this, and I was reading like my grandmother passed away from leukemia, but leukemia is really not a genetic thing, you know?
Correct. And I think over time, we're going to find that in the genetics, there's a lot of codes for a lot of things that you either are going to be able to or not going to be able to have. There's a reason why somebody who smokes 5 packs of cigarettes a day lives to be 90, and somebody who's around secondhand smoke gets cancer right away.
Right.
There's a reason in their genetics that somebody can be more triggered or something can be more
That's
turned on
true.
or not. There's just not enough science yet to say what's going on. So there's just no way to predict that or stay ahead of it. But all of that to say, that's why we work so hard at it, so that we can be on the front edge of the science, so we can support it, so that next year we know more and the industry knows more about the dogs being healthy.
And that's one of the big reasons that I want to be a part of Embark and DNA testing our dogs for all of the genetics. We are, you know, I'm a person, I want to know things. I want
hungry
to,
for that.
I want to have some certainty. I don't want to be in this big uncertain world of trying to understand what is going on out there.
Did you have a question?
Awesome. Tom's got a comment and Trisha has a question.
Okay.
Tom says, this is fascinating. Thank you for the education. So glad we adopted from you.
Yay.
Trisha says, is it common for litter mates to develop a common disease at a young age?
Oh, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
So y'all have learned over time here with me that almost every question is, well, yes and no. So if there is a congenital something that happened with the mom during pregnancy, and I'll use an example. We had a mom that was in our breeding program who had a litter of puppies, normal, healthy, not a single issue. Bred her again, litter of puppies, repeat breeding, same male, totally healthy, not a single issue. Third litter, totally normal, healthy litter, same male, except 5 of 7 puppies had some degree of a cleft palate. So yes, those litter mates absolutely share a common condition, but that's because something happened with the mom during that phase of pregnancy. Now, for the record, we're great at cleft palates here. Our team does a great job
Our
taking care
vet
of
is
them.
amazed that our cleft palate puppies survive. Most breeders won't even try.
Won't
that.
even try,
They
yeah.
won't even spend the time.
So all 5 of the puppies got adopted by staff members. We do a great job with that. We have no issues with that. But same breeding, repeat breeding, we know cleft palate is congenital, not inherited. And so that's something where you can feel comfortable to breed the mom again. So in that case, yes, litter mates did share a common thing. Now,
what about a disease though?
Sure. So
Same thing.
I've also seen it where dogs go to the same household. And even though they're not related, they'll all get similar conditions. So your common thread there is the environment of what's going on. And so you can see that.
That is a bizarre situation when that happens.
It is. It makes me really nervous for the people in the household.
We actually had this conversation.
We did.
So I know exactly what we're talking about, and that did concern me.
So on that note too, but and if there is a genetic issue that you cannot currently test for, certainly that would show up also. So, and that's also where we take notes on a breeding. So prior to doing DNA testing in our history, we have had reports of, say, a mom who showed like maybe a hip issue or something like that with a little more frequency than what we would typically see. Well, she gets retired.
That's right.
Is the way that works. She gets to move to her next phase of her
life. If they develop things that we couldn't test for or determine early, because we do our hip, hearts, elbows, all that, but things show up. Dana.
Okay, a comment and a question.
Okay.
Carrie Wagner. Hey, Carrie. She said, my favorite time is Tuesday. Hi, Sherry and Carol.
Hey,
from
Carrie.
Oklahoma.
Loved meeting you in person.
I know, that was me
Friday.
too. That was so
fun.
cool. And Linda says, Carol, may I ask what your background is? You have so much medical knowledge. I loved your talk on Giardia.
Oh, thank you very much.
talk.
I have I'll come right back to that. I have a follow-up question. What did Carrie end up naming her puppy? She was debating between two names while she was here. And my background...
Fernie or Fergie?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know what she named her.
Okay.
But my background is actually, I went to college, studied all the things that everybody does, and then I went into behavior and started working on the more dog training side, and came and worked with Sherry. I worked at a major pet store, we'll say, for a long time, working in their training program, traveling all over the country, training trainers, working with a lot of people with their dogs, and then came to here to Smeraglia, where I do a lot of continuing education. I partner hand in hand with our vets, also with experts in different fields for what we do. We work with infectious disease specialists, a little bit of everywhere. But like Sherry, I'm hungry for knowledge and information, always looking to absorb a little more.
We're students. We spend so much time on the phone on a regular basis, talking all this, talking about medical, trying to connect the dots, trying to figure out, issues. Like, we work so close with our vets, but what we're learning is that we've learned so much from experience here. I mean, just hands-on, roll up your sleeves and get in the middle of it and learn it. And a lot of times our experiences do not agree with maybe what might be textbook. And then,
it'll get there.
Yeah, it will. And then what happens is we spend a lot of time with our vets, with research and development and things like that. And we find that they start listening and saying, what you're experiencing, we're gonna believe this. And I remember Dr. Cordy, he would say, Sherry, I don't care what they tell you. A lot of these people, and he was that old vet
Yes,
that I
he
had.
was.
And he was like, what you've learned here is more educational. You know so much compared to what they know, because they've not lived it and walked it every day to the degree that we do.
Yeah,
birthing puppies, hands-on.
And everything that is science and that is what you lean into at some point was theory. And so, and what is the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention. And at the end of the day, we're here, boots on the ground, trying to every single day do what's in the best interest of our dogs, our puppies, and our clients. And if what is textbook just isn't working and it's not what we need to accomplish, we are going to think outside of the box. We are going to lean on the experts. We are going to push to that next level of, okay, well, what next?
That's
what
right.
else? And then that's the theory that, like I just said, they'll catch up. They'll
They
get
will,
there.
just like they
then in
did with the
future.
Giardia. Just
Yes.
like with the Giardia, we learned that. Anything else?
Well, let's see. Carrie said she named her Fernie.
Okay.
Fernie. I figured you were going to do that.
Said she's an old soul. I love her.
I figured you were going to do that because that's kind of a unique name. But I love that we can have these conversations. We can put it out there and, see the light bulb go off in people's minds. Like, okay, that makes sense. For whatever reason, people just want to jump on the bashing bandwagon and they're just like ready to just point fingers and accuse and things like that. And that's why we have to be here. My heart is to change the attitude that some people, the general public, that they are not aware of what it means to be a breeder and being a breeder with excellence and trying to do things right. Our reasoning, because this is our time to come back and answer all the questions that we get every week on the phone,
It was, well, and like you're saying, I had a really interesting conversation with Dr. Myers and Paul and a couple of others over at the vet clinic that we use. And they were talking about how a lot of things feel very teeter-totter within the veterinary industry, meaning here's the rule, here's the policy. And they lean so hard into that that they accidentally create all of these issues over here that wasn't intended. And so then we teeter-totter all the way over here, and now we end up with a whole new issue. The thing is every couple of years, you'll see these whole policy shifts go on. And what they were talking about is trying to find the balance in quit shifting like that within the industry as a whole and finding what works. And that's where we come in. As the boots on the ground, we're interacting with the dogs day in, day out, night in, night out. That's where that balance comes in and where we can say, hey, here's what actually is going to work.
Yeah.
Well, Linda comments, clearly you have spent a lot of time researching, nothing like experience.
That's
totally
right.
agree with what you're saying.
Oh, thank you.
Agreed. Experience to me is going to be more valuable than somebody telling me something. I'd rather hear from somebody that's walked it out and know it from experience versus, well, this is what they say. Who's they?
Though, I do like the history and the research so that we don't have to make other people's mistakes.
That's right.
We want to learn from not only other people's mistakes, we're learning from ours too at times. But I think that's an important thing. I think it's super important to understand that you don't know it all. We don't know it all. We're doing the best we can with the information we have, and we'll learn at each step that we go. And this was one of the things that was really important to educate on because it does come up so often, congenital versus inherited. And if you have a puppy that has an issue, why are those parents still here? Well, because the issue that puppy has absolutely nothing to do with those parent dogs and what they carry.
I know, but sometimes that is so hard for people to wrap their heads around because their puppies got an issue and they want to be upset. And of course, these parents shouldn't be in the program, but sometimes those are some of the dogs that have produced some of the most amazing service dogs or therapy dogs. Like, there's so much to consider when you're making that decision. And of course, the health is number one. If we believed that breeding this dog to this dog or breeding at all is going to create a health problem, we would never breed that. We're just not going to do it. Number one, we have a 2-year health warranty. We're going to stand behind it. I don't want to have to do that.
Agreed. Well, and this leads into what probably should be a future coffee chat, but it's also genetic diversity is really important. One of the things that we've learned, and I actually was talking to a client about this today, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but over 60% of American retrievers and over 30% of English retrievers are going to die of cancer. And the reason is, when you look at genetic diversity, there isn't any. And in eliminating certain things from your genetic gene pool, you've accidentally left traits in that now you're combining with both parents that are bigger problems.
That's a big problem.
And bigger issues. And so genetic diversity is so important. You can't eliminate every dog from your program that may be a carrier of something because those are novel genetics. And the genetics that go with that are novel genetics. And you potentially are going to have bigger issues when you don't have that genetic diversity. We talk about hybrid vigor quite a bit.
That's why hybrid vigor is so great. That's why our dogs tend to be more healthy. The doodles, the twoodles, and the schnoodles, like we talked about a few weeks ago, those mutts out out there, they're always healthy.
Go eat some dirt.
Yeah, just do it. And one of the things that we've even learned is like some of the things that you do to be a good breeder a lot of times really actually backfires.
It does.
Like being too clean or trying to keep the dogs from not experience anything or exposed to anything, so that the dog's immune system doesn't even have the ability to kick in and fire up and do what it needs to do.
Yeah, that's actually like a theory now among all species, humans, dogs, about where autoimmune issues come from.
Yeah.
And so that might be another topic for a different day.
There's an endless amount of topics.
Autoimmune issues. You know, when I was growing up, there's so many kids today and people that have allergies for everything. I mean, when I was growing up, nobody had like gluten issues and nobody had all of these things.
Peanut butter.
Yeah, and all peanut. I mean, not that I don't understand why it's so much more prevalent, but we also were outside, running around barefooted, eating dirt, playing. And I think that the world has changed.
It has. It has, no doubt. Yeah, Dana?
Well, Christy has a question. It's off topic, so maybe we'll answer or y'all decide what you want to do. But she says, usually at what age do you know if a dark coat, chocolate coat is going to change colors?
So there's actually a little bit of anecdotal at between 8 and 12 weeks. You can actually kind of look and tell. So, and we'll answer this real quick. So fade genes come either none, 1, or 2.
Yep.
Okay, so if you have 0 fade genes, your dog is going to be that color, and that's it. Not really any fading unless environment comes in.
And we can find that out on a DNA test.
We can. And then, but if there's 1 fade gene, usually by the time they're 8 to 12 weeks old, you're going to see a little sheen of a different color. So like on a black puppy, instead of like when the sun hits them just right, them still being black or almost like a purpley iridescent, you're going to see almost like a reddish or a chocolate color come through. And if there's 2 fade genes, they're going to be silvering out in the face as early as like 6-8 weeks.
Yeah, you'll see it. We see that come through.
So it doesn't take long.
No,
Doesn't
it
take
doesn't.
long.
And that's why we test. We love to test. We love that. I had a lot of kickback and from other breeders when they were like, so you're DNA testing your parents, which is to give you information on the puppies. But now why are you going to DNA test every single puppy?
Yeah.
Because we want to find out in the company Embark want to find out if their DNA tests are correct.
Yeah,
you know?
on some of the new things that we're testing.
Yeah, and so we're doing that, but I love it. And we're going into this year, we finally got every parent dog's DNA test back. Finally, we've got everybody.
We've got almost all of them back. We had a couple that we've recently tested that we just needed to do a new sample on. So we've got like a handful. But yes, for the most part, we have all DNA tests on all parent dogs.
And now that we have that, which is taking quite a while to do that, then we'll start DNA testing every puppy, and that's going to be huge.
Oh, yes. It'll be really,
We're
really
going to
big.
learn so much.
We are, for
And that's
sure.
what we love. We just sit around and discuss it, you know.
You know, and we do actually. We sit down, we break down those DNA tests and all the cool stuff that's in there, and then also the potential
geek
of
out.
what it can
Yeah,
be.
geek out.
We do
geek
geek
it
out.
out.
Geek out.
Well, we were yesterday, was it yesterday? We were like we're trying to track a bacteria that we're
Yes.
trying to
With that-
figure out.
Is today Tuesday? Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, and we were trying to track it, and so we started talking. So we're like, okay, and then what happened? And then what did you do? And then what did they do? And we're tracking, and so we start connecting dots. And Carol was like, I'm just trying to connect every dot. And then it was like, boom, we connected a dot. She was like, that was the dot I needed. I was like, well, did you discontinue this product that we think is the trigger of this bacteria? We can't give names right now because we're still dealing with it. But it's funny because when we eliminated this thing from all the puppies in the nursery, it went away. The bacteria went away. But then when we moved, you're acting like you didn't know.
I know. I'm so excited.
And then
It
we
was impactful for me.
And then we go and we move our puppies to the cottage, but we didn't eliminate the product there. And we're like, hold on. The product is still, and that's where it is. Okay, so she was like, we're eliminating this
That's it.
today. And I was like, she was like, is that what you want? I'm like, don't give them another dose of that product.
Right. So definitely working through all
Yes.
that.
Well, Christy, who had the question about the coat, saying that her 1-year-old extra small Toodle is getting a little white on his back. I'm hoping he stays chocolate.
He should stay chocolate. So sometimes that will happen as a result of injury or something that happens to the skin.
Or treatment, like
yes.
some flea treatment or something like
So
that.
usually if you get like a drastic change like that and it's not a gradual, especially like just a couple of hairs here or there or like in a little streak, watch and make sure he's not like scratching his back under a chair somewhere or something like that.
It's funny because they'll get a bug bite or something and they'll gnaw at it and then they'll have a hot spot and it'll go. And then that hot spot grows back
Completely different hair.
like a black spot grows on a white dog. It's the funniest thing.
It is. It is. And it looks so
It's
weird.
like, what
and
is that? I'm like, that's their wild hair.
So on our like inherited versus congenital versus sometimes dogs just get sick and it has nothing to do with congenital or inherited. Y'all remember, no matter what, that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
We're here to pray over you, pray over your puppy. We're here to link arms, to connect with the information we have. We have a whole team of vets that are at our disposal that we call. We get answers to questions. Sometimes it takes a minute, but we do get answers to questions. So we're here to link arms with you and your puppy no matter what. Genetic,
research
congenital,
and development.
Yep,
That's
we're
what
here.
we're doing. Dana?
So Lynn says, thank you for sharing this, ! Yes, our 9-year-old golden retriever has cancer now. We did some surgery, but no chemo. She's living her best life.
Oh, that's perfect.
Well, definitely.
Love that.
Well, guys, this has been a great topic. I've enjoyed it, and we're going to continue every Tuesday having topics like this, fun topics that we can educate you, we can chat with you about. Now, if you want to become a supporter and hang out and just have wine and chit-chat and laugh with us, we're going to do that Monday night. That's going to be fun. Hey, and all y'all, Meredith's birthday is next Thursday, the 4th. So give her a shout out. And we're having a little party for her on Friday night. But, we're always going to do something at work on her birthday. We got to slap her around and do something. Sing happy birthday. Embarrass her, do something. We got to do something.
That'll be loads of fun.
We got to do that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you have a great day and tune in. We've got lots more coming this afternoon and the rest of the week. See you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.